My name is Barbara Markovitz. I'm with Eastern Shore Forest Watch Association. Eastern Shore Forest Watch is a registered nonprofit organization founded in 1988. We're dedicated to the long-term care of our forests. Forest Watch played a crucial role in the negotiations that led to the province's recent announcement of Ship Harbour Long Lake as a candidate wilderness area. Our concern about the proposed Moose River open-pit gold mine began when a provincial environmental assessment was filed in March 2007. There had been no prior meaningful consultation with the communities of the Eastern Shore. We immediately noticed a number of startling features of the environmental assessment. One, the environmental assessment was written by a consultant hired by the mining company. It is still unfathomable to us that in Nova Scotia in the 21st century, the potential polluter gets to write his own environmental assessment. It is, as one of our members says, like putting Jesse James in charge of Via Rail. Two, the environmental assessment was limited to the mine site, completely ignoring the risk of environmental consequences downstream if the mine effluent carrying cyanide, arsenic, and even mercury accidentally spills into Scraggy Lake. It will contaminate the Fish River watershed down through Lake Charlotte to Ship Harbour. The EA minimized the risk of calamitous impact downstream in the event of a failure of the tailings dam or even a cyanide spill from a truck. Three, the company plans to pump a huge quantity of water from Square Lake on Crown land, pollute this water with cyanide in the gold extraction process, then dump the partly cleansed effluent into Scraggy Lake, another public lake on Crown land. This is a blatant misuse of our precious fresh water supplies for private gain, and the public was never consulted. Four, since there were issues of water and fish habitat, we expected the Department of Fisheries and Oceans to require a federal environmental assessment. The proponent had made a transparent attempt to avoid triggering a federal environmental assessment. Fish and fish habitat would clearly be impacted. We could not understand why DFO was not engaged, and we still can't. Five, the company plans to dig out an enormous pit deeper than the Bedford Basin to get at the gold that is dispersed in the ground. The 20 million tons of excavated waste rock will be piled in a rubble mountain occupying 35 hectares, and it will be the height of a 15-story building. When mining operations cease, the open pit will fill with water. It will be a sterile hole rather than a living lake for many, many years. The toxic mine tailings will remain where they fall in the tailings pond. Highly concentrated toxins will be excavated from the bottom of the polishing pond and buried within the tailings, a permanent toxic legacy of the mine. Like a graveyard, the mine site will require perpetual care. Six, the jobs touted as the benefit of the mine will be short-term and many will be hazardous. We believe that people on the Eastern Shore and in the Musquodoboit Valley deserve good, sustainable jobs that do not threaten health and environment. Seven, the southern tip of the mine is just 200 meters from Scraggy Lake, the northern edge of the recently announced Ship Harbour Long Lake candidate wilderness area. Water flows from the mine site into the wilderness area. Many people responded to the first environmental assessment, even with an absurdly short public review period. Environmental concerns were raised as well by every level of government. With so many unanswered scientific questions, we believe that the proposal had to be rejected on scientific grounds. Instead, the government asked for more information in a specific number of areas, a focus report. Many scientific questions remained unanswered in the focus report. Some concerned fish habitat, and DFO, to our knowledge, has still not made a determination about whether a federal environmental assessment is required. In our view, this project, because of its size and high risk of environmental disaster, has always required an independent, impartial assessment by an expert or a panel of experts in the field. That is what it still requires. Our experience with the provincial environmental assessment process has been eye-opening. It has been shocking and it has been frustrating. It is clear that the entire process needs a thorough overhaul. We call on the provincial government to establish an immediate moratorium on approval of high-risk projects. The regulatory regime needs to be updated to reflect current knowledge about the impacts of the extractive industries, both for the environment of the present and the environment of the future. The environmental assessment process needs to take global warming as seriously as nature is taking it, and the process must be updated to include an impartial, independent public review. Finally, the government must respect the values and aspirations of the communities affected by mines and quarries. Now, we would like nothing better than to be proved wrong about the calamity that seems about to descend on Nova Scotia through the easy approval of mines and quarries. If history proves us right, however, the politicians of today will not be able to say that they didn't know the likely long-term consequences of their decisions. They know. They have been alerted. This is not the new Nova Scotia. When society collapses as a result of the environmental consequences of the decisions of its governors, that's called ecocide. We are very worried that Nova Scotia is headed in that direction. Successive governments did not shoulder their responsibilities to manage the fishery wisely. The fishery died. The province for many years has approved clearly unsustainable industrial forestry practices. Our Acadian forest is disappearing. And now, when the province has an opportunity to prevent environmental destruction from the mining industry, destruction that is well documented all over the world, it is failing once again. The province has to change its direction, and it will change because the people are demanding change. The planet is demanding change. Sooner or later, we will get the change we so dearly need because so many of us are so determined and we are not going to go away. Thank you.